Alright everyone, welcome back to Champions of the Fog. We are loading in for Misery versus Elysium. I'm your host, Little Rugar, and joining me today is none other than Contra. Welcome back, friend. How you doing?
Hey, I am doing well. I hope you are too. And honestly, today is a special day for me because I am a very big fan of both of these teams. I would say Elysium is one of, if not my favorite teams to watch. So I'm very excited to see what both of these guys, both sides have in store. And we do have Shady or Ducky on the killer here playing Hag. And honestly, Hawkins is such an interesting map choice for Hag. What kind of gameplay mechanics do you think are involved with this kind of indoor map for a killer like Hag? Because this is a first time for me.
So that's a really fair question. Especially we know how killer Hag plays on normal maps. Like obviously you stay in pairs and you just like you tag team the heck out of any traps you see. But oh my goodness. Okay, not at all what I was expecting. Trail of Torment. That is a spicy pick for this killer.
I really want Ducky's plan to work here, but it seems like I believe it was Marcos that got chased off this gen. Is suspicious of what's going on. Yep, Marcos is just waiting. Very smart play by the survivors. Didn't see the Hag drop down or get any additional information from their team, and they might have already identified Trail of Torment. It is important to note that Trail of Torment does highlight the generator in yellow to the survivors, so they are aware that it is in play. So Elysium playing around that very well, and Marcos takes a hit here and is going to use their distance pretty well and gets a good pre-drop on this pallet. And they're in a comfortable spot here because with Hag being a 110 killer, it will take Ducky or Shady here a very long time to catch up. So I do think this first chase will probably dictate the momentum for the rest of the match.
Does seem to be the case again, waiting for Bloodlust to kick in. Now they're finally, you know, close to a normal killer speed. And yeah, with these two pallets the way they are, this might be effectively an infinite for a 110 killer. Now getting Bloodlust too, they will be making some distance, finally catching up to the Survivor. And yeah, but I say they do need it down pretty early on, and this Survivor has done a great job preventing it. Tier 3 Bloodlust getting stunned back to Tier 2. And that's not the way to go for this first chase. Oh, wait. Are they body blocking or no? Doesn't look like it. Wait, they lost Bloodlust entirely.
Oh, no. That was so patient from Marcos, just winning the pallet standoff, but they do eventually go down. Losing Bloodlust there was absolutely massive. I genuinely thought that, I think Pedro was coming in for a potential flashlight save, but Shady does get a free tag for that, so that is actually going to be pretty good for them. But yeah, with Bloodlust being lost there, I was starting to think Marcos just wasn't going to go down at all. But the first down does come in, and we do see 2 generators pop. Make that 3. So that's 3 generators popping for the survivors, and it looks like Ducky is opting to put Marcos in the basement here. We do see agitation, means that Ducky can get these hooks faster and hook more or less wherever they want on the map. But I am starting to think a basement camp right now might be too little too late because of all the gen progress that Elysium has.
It's possible, and so it comes down to something that is reminiscent of my time, and unfortunately it doesn't seem to be like this killer has that to afford to them, is the bottom gens are what you pay attention to, and they do have 2 close by gens, so you can really mess with survivors potentially, but that third one seems way too far in the corner to be anything meaningful. Interesting mind game coming in from the killer. And even hearing this gen being off in the corner, do they get the drop on the survivors? There's the Dragon's Grip going off, and then trying to get the grab on Adam, but not going to happen. But this survivor's now exposed for a period of time, and I don't think they have a trap set up to make it worthwhile, but that means 2 survivors are pushed off gens, and they do have to go in for that hook at some point.
Yes, and I do believe that's 30 seconds of exposed on Xeno, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's more. I think they buffed the exposure time.
Okay, well that's even scarier for Xeno. But we do see somebody sneak in for the unhook here. It looks like Pedro came in for it. So Marcos gets out of the basement pretty much unscathed. They do get that pallet drop. And another important thing to note is that the 10% haste off the hook makes Marcos pretty much the same speed as Ducky here, since Hag is a 110 killer. And he's just going to have to play his pallet. It's just a bunch of 50s, and he'll eventually go down.
I think
well played by Ducky there. Yeah, I mean, that grab there would have been nice to save time, but, I mean, hey, they got the down to Marcos, so that can be a stage 2 relatively quickly off that hook. I'm not entirely sure what the gen pressure is looking like compared to 30 seconds ago, but it looks like the survivors of Elysium are opting for a reset here, which is probably smart, so they don't give up any crazy snowball to Ducky. And that is going to be pain resonance on this generator. And Ducky most likely knows that this is going to be the one that they are pressuring, since they caught, I believe, Silhei on it earlier. So that survivor on the hook, Marcos, is just over a minute away from being eliminated. And I think we're probably going to see a global reset here, and then maybe a last-second trade just to keep the tunnel alive for a bit longer. But this is a pretty respectable gen setup if you're Ducky. These gens are not too far apart, and Hag is a territorial killer, so he can definitely trap this up and try to work with something.
But I say, so what I said before about the 3 gen on the bottom, this is one of the very few scenarios, especially for this killer, where you can actually technically, you know, hold down the topside gen with your traps, which is kind of surreal because almost no killer that I know of besides maybe Nurse can get away with that. But we see them coming in. Oh my god, it's actually going to start taking apart this web, tackling it all at once. But the question is, can they actually unhook here?
They should be able to.
Yeah, body block coming in on Planet, though.
Oh no. Yeah, Pedro gets body blocked. Now it might be very difficult. I don't think they anticipated this. If they realized that this could happen, I think Silhei would have went in for that unhook. But Pedro does get it. It is going to be a 1-for-1 plus an extra tag. So Ducky does get a lot for that. But now they're going to chase down Marcos, it seems like, and try to get this turned into a 3v1. But we did see the 4th generator pop in the distance. Oh, that's Silhei. Oh. That's not Marcos.
They actually do get that. I'm surprised they didn't put more traps over here. I think it would have benefited them, but ultimately not going to be able to. But this is still a hook trade. Any healing progress is going to be negated here, and they are in the area. They do have to be careful. If Ace gets injured, they're actually in a kind of a spicy position. Oh, they're going for another basement hook here. Do they get the pickup on the server at top, though?
They do need to get the pickup, yes. I'm pretty. It seems like Ducky is saving their pain res because they're confident that that generator popped was, for the most part, the only progress they had. But I don't know. I feel like this basement hook onto Pedro, just with Pedro being on the first hook stage, might not be worthwhile for Ducky to stay around and try to confirm. So we are going to see Ducky extend out over here and possibly put a trap on this gen, maybe put a kick down on it, which is what we're seeing right now. And again, Trail Torment's active, so Ducky's going to be undetectable. He does get the teleport back and the down onto Silhei.
That was one of the early traps that was set, so that actually worked out in their favor. We see the survivor going for... Now they're in a position.
They are. Ducky knows where everybody is. They're chasing Xeno right now, and Marcos screamed on that gen because of Dragon's Grip. So they more or less know where everybody is. That is everybody injured, with the other 2 survivors either being on hook or on the ground. So Ducky does have the opportunity to snowball here. We do see Silhei being picked up in the distance. So now we have 3 survivors up on the ground, and Pedro about to hit stage 2 in about 5 to 10 seconds. So I do think that down onto Silhei and then that injury onto Xeno kept the survivors busy, and that did put a hold on the gen progress. So Pedro does hit 2nd stage while they're recovering from that, and this is most likely going to be a 3v1 pretty soon because everybody's injured. Nobody can come in for this, but Ducky does have to be careful about that generator popping because it is pretty high progress, and they can only get about 4 more regression events left on it.
They wiped the trap, though. We saw that happen, and yeah, Ducky did too, and they're going to be able to follow this up, push the survivor away. So the only thing I'm surprised is we do not see Sloppy Butcher, which is really bizarre to me. Usually for a hit-and-run killer like this, I thought we would have seen Sloppy. So I'm wondering if that might bite them in the end, but they are going to go for the unhook? No, they got pushed away. Yeah, this is going to be a confirmed kill, potentially. Oh my goodness, no.
Ooh.
They any means necessaried it.
That is insane. They any means necessary the pallet, and I don't think knew that that Ducky put the trap down there, so they got the instant teleport in the down, and they're getting the basement on hook for that, but it's trapped, so they can teleport back, and Marcos is dead on hook, so that's 1 elimination and a basement hook with the other 2 survivors injured. So this is massive for Ducky, and they are actually going to take the survivor out of the basement and go over here to this Scourge hook to get pain resonance, and it'll hit this gen right before it pops.
That is huge. I didn't realize that they had actually sent Silhei to work up on that gen and immediately coming around for the rotation. They might actually be able to get the generator done here. I don't think...
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think they realize that they're up on the single-man gen right now.
Silhei almost definitely is going to complete this generator, so this will be all gens done. But difficult for them to go forward in this endgame. They do have to be very careful because they're both injured. So we're likely going to see a 4K here, unless Silhei is able to work some magic and stay hidden for a while, or play for a door or something.
They're
but
upstairs.
It's very unlikely.
Wait, did they just see them run out? Oh, I think that Silhei just ran out. No, they're dropping down. Oh, good job not getting trapped though.
He crouched. I think they anticipated that Ducky would trap the drop, so they crouched as soon as they hit the ground, not triggering it. And I don't think Ducky realized that's actually huge for Elysium and for Silhei, because now he can get the pickup or the unhook. Yeah, we do see the pickup onto Pedro.
That is massive, and they didn't trap down here either.
Uh-oh. This is such an intense endgame. Ducky still definitely has the opportunity to get a very good result here, but that play from Silhei to crouch and not get detected by that trap was game-changing. That changes from a guaranteed 4K into at least a chance at getting somebody out here.
They weren't looking behind them, and now leaving them back on the ground. Still someone on the hook. The question is, did they go to the right exit gate? Okay, they're going to go ahead and trap this up to make sure they got this at least somewhere on lockdown. There's not a lot of traps at any given point during this game. I was really surprised. I don't think they set more than 5 traps at any given time.
Yeah, we didn't see the full web of traps like we typically see in some hack games. And I think that was probably just because Elysium was so aggressive on these generators. Shady might not have found the time to set up all those traps, but they do find the last survivor. That'll be Silhei coming over here and thinking about getting the unhook, but realizes that they are going to get cut off, so they don't go for it. Instead, they sneak in and get the pickup onto Pedro, and I believe Silhei will be able to get this unhook. It'll be a trade, but
yep,
Xeno does get off the hook there.
But say, is this a good trade though? Does this? Oh, I think they thought another one was triggered. Is this a good hook for them? Because has Adam been hooked this whole game? If they haven't, that's a bunch of fresh stages, potentially.
I'm pretty sure Silhei's fresh. I don't think I've seen Silhei hooked before. I don't know if that trade was really worth it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this is fresh.
I almost feel like Xeno... I almost feel like Silhei shouldn't have given themselves up to get Xeno off the hook, but... I don't know, maybe Elysium was cooking something. It does buy them a little bit of time, but we don't see anybody at this exit gate, so we know that the doors aren't being worked. I think Ducky is suspicious of a reset going on somewhere far away from the gates. So, yep, we do see Shady checking the areas away from the gates, suspecting a reset somewhere here, and it'll be pretty much game ending if they find it right now and they can down an injured Xeno, but I think Elysium is doing a really good job and pick a spot here up. Yep, they do get found, but at least they were able to get Pedro healthy. So, this won't be instantly game over, but also still looking a little scary for Elysium, because now if this hit comes in, everybody's injured.
True. And that's the big thing, is I think they were trying to get the reset, and then they go back and get the unhook and deny the killer a couple points. But the problem is I think they might actually secure the stage here. No, the scratch marks are old. They actually might get they might actually stop it from going. No, they left. They went right instead of going to the left.
Yeah, I do think going to the right was the right play here, because they do realize they're not able to get this safely, so they're not going to give Ducky an extra pressure here, and instead opt to be completely spread out and far away from the hook and force Ducky to leave and find them elsewhere. But that's the thing, if they were able to get that full reset, if both of them were able to be healthy, they could have definitely gone in there and went for maybe a double save, or maybe one of them traded while the other worked the door. But Ducky finding that before both of them became healthy was just like a very pivotal moment in this endgame, I feel like.
True.
Just like that stun. Now there's no down and everybody's up.
Exactly. But that said, that all the survivors are death hook at this point, so the killer only misses out on 3 points, and the survivors are only gonna gain 3 points. So the killer did manage to get a majority of the points. And if they go to endgame right now, you're dead here. You lose eventually. You are gonna die in this upper pit. Unless
they are going to die. Yes.
Yeah, but I say, unless body blocks come in, I guess you could try and body block from hooking here, but then you just let them bleed out to endgame, and that's fine.
Yep, I think we're most likely going to just see 2 survivors at the door. They can't really do anything about this because as you said, every survivor is death hook now. So the kill onto Pedro will come in, and a little hit on hook from Ducky to Pedro. Hopefully friendly, not entirely sure, but we do.
I don't know why you're doing that. You could have gone over here and got the hit.
Yeah, man, to pressure these survivors. That could have been a 4K, bro. But either way, we are going to see 2 survivors out the door here. But I think that's a pretty respectable result for Ducky. That'll be 2K, but 10 stages. So I think that's pretty solid.
True. I'm slightly annoyed, just ever so slightly, because they weren't done with the exit gate. If you had walked directly to their exit gate, one of them was getting hooked. All right, everyone, welcome back to Champions of the Fog. We are coming back in for the trial number 2. Xeno, this time, going to be cracking out the hag, and Okay, I appreciate the skin, so I'm here for it. What do you think? Best skin for Hag, right off the top of your head.
None of them. That was the only correct answer.
Honestly, it's so based of you, I can't even. Okay, we're already seeing more web setup, though. Look at this.
Yes, Xeno is looking like he's setting up a bunch of traps over here, and we do see the same add-ons as last game. I don't remember if either of us touched on it, but it is going to be Rusty Shackles, so survivors don't get any warning that they triggered a trap. So we do see that, and the Dried Cicada, so Xeno can teleport to the traps from further away. But the first tag does come in on Wancy. And we're talking about it last game about a certain perk, Sloppy Butcher, not being in play. And we do see a tag coming on a Wancy and now Ducky. So Sloppy Butcher has been applied to 2 survivors. 3 survivors? What is this early game?
Oh! The Dark Devotion value! They actually used it! Getting the hit on Ducky, meaning they can come back for the survivor and nobody sees them. Oh, these survivors are in trouble.
This is what I was talking about. This is why Elysium is probably my favorite team to watch. Their survivor side obviously is very entertaining in itself, but Xeno does these unorthodox builds and just shows value with weird perks like Dark Devotion, which I respect on such a high level. But this is such a strong start for Xeno. If he wants to beat win condition, I think this is the kind of early game that he was hoping for.
Not to mention, they can't even go for the pickup just yet, and they're just leaving him slugged in the corner. It's like, I can get that later. I'm looking for this reset point, because they have to heal 2 injured survivors through Sloppy Butcher. And yeah, this is not where you want to be. They are going to get the first reset on Ducky. I imagine going to see the other survivors momentarily. Looks like they went all the way back to Portal Room. Does make a lot of sense. All right, Zarina cranking up on the top gen, though. So they are trying to bring their way back. Just, Abby's going to be on the ground for a while.
Yes. Xeno does find the reset, but too little too late. Both survivors are already healthy. I do think the survivors here did a very good job with this reset spot because with it being Sloppy Butcher, very close whiff there. This hit onto Ducky will be coming through. With this being Sloppy Butcher, if they reset anywhere closer to the central area or center area of the map, with Sloppy, there is a very high likelihood Xeno would have found the reset before it was done. So I think that was a very good heads-up play by the survivors to reset far away. And Xeno is happy taking that Sloppy Butcher tag onto Ducky and coming back and chasing Wancy here. And Abby's still on the ground. They've been on the ground for almost 2 minutes.
They really have. I'm curious if they are intentionally leaving him on the ground. They do finally get the pickup, and now all survivors are picked up. No hooks have actually come through yet. That's the interesting thing. They've had a ton of pressure, but no resources are wasted currently, and no one's been hooked. It's only been 2 minutes of bleed out, so I'm really curious what... Like the killer has to get set points somewhere, right?
Yes, I think Xeno was banking on a big snowball there with the Sloppy Butcher tags and the big web of traps that he had set up, but it didn't quite happen. So survivors are recovering from it a good bit.
Oh, they don't realize this wall.
Oh, yeah, these closed doors. Oh, my gosh. I think Xeno is probably losing his mind right now because of all those closed doors. But the teleport comes in onto Ducky. They're going to be the first hook of the game.
Looks so, and looks like it might have been a failed skill check resetting over in the corner. They do mostly get reset. No, it was a... Interesting, they actually popped one of these traps in the corner. Going to be resetting and going back somewhere else. Looks like we do see a survivor up top as the only injured survivor. So, the one thing that Xeno absolutely has going for him right now is the webs. These traps are everywhere. And given the, you know, relative linear style of this map, you can teleport to any of them with Cicada effectively.
Yep, pretty much. The extra range from Cicada is very helpful. And unless Xeno is pretty much in one corner of the map, all his traps are pretty much going to be accessible for him to teleport to. So this is going to be very deadly. I do think if that whiff comes in, but there's a decent chance that this tag is going to happen anyways. So we do see the injury onto Abby, and most likely Xeno going back to the hook here. And I wonder if we're going to see Xeno go for a standard tunnel out approach here, or try to chain slugs and do something very like unorthodox maybe with Dark Devotion and Sloppy Butcher, because this build is definitely cooking, and I'm here for it. He does also have Dragon's Grip, just like Ducky from last game, so we might see that come into effect. But right now, I think we're seeing the strength of Sloppy Butcher. We've already seen it. Survivors did take a long time to reset all those tags from earlier in the match. So I do think right now, even though there's only one hook stage on the board, if the survivors slip up a little bit, or if Xeno just makes a crazy play and maybe gets a correct prediction on where they are or where they might be resetting, I think this game can turn around just like we're seeing now. He does find the reset, but the heal does get complete onto Ducky, so no down just yet.
Not yet, but probably in just a second. They actually do get the down on Wancy. And again, Dark Devotion is active, so Survivor up top has the Terror Radius, setting up their traps to teleport upon the drop down. This actually, is this a death trap?
Yes, absolutely. The Survivor has two options. They can stay up there while Xeno walks towards them and kills them, or they can drop and Xeno teleports. Unless they drop and instantly crouch, kind of like we saw Silhei do, which doesn't look like it's happening. Are they even aware that Xeno's there? Did Dark Devotion throw them off? I don't think Ducky knew. So that might have been Dark Devotion value.
They might have just been baiting it, saying, you know what, I know I'm going to go down, but oh no, another tag coming in. Now you're in a bit of trouble. Okay, second gen going down.
Oh, and we do have basement here. Xeno does have basement by the portal room. This is exactly what I was talking about. Little things like that. Xeno knew that whenever Wancy got picked up, he could have ran left or right, and Xeno predicted that he'd run left and cut him off, and now we have two slugs here in the basement. And not only is it the basement, but this is by the portal room where Xeno can pretty much look at all the crosses here from this little area and find somebody coming in early. And if a healthy person comes in, he can get a tag onto them and then teleport into the basement. And it's just very dangerous for survivors to do anything here about this hook and slug situation. So,
just curious, because I'm trying to figure this out. Can they actually get the hook from up top? Because if the basement spawns there, I don't think they have a corner hook in the portal room, actually. Can they actually get the Survivor to basement from the top of that gen?
I think it depends on where the Survivor is. If they're right on top of the gen, like behind the rail, I do think Xeno could pick up and then drop down the hole, and with like perfect pathing, I think they could drop down the hole and maybe make that first basement hook. I'm pretty sure they could still do that pretty comfortably, but if the Survivor crawls like all the way further to the corner, like on the first floor of the portal room, then I think it's very difficult without agitation. It might not be possible.
Okay, just curious. So second hook coming in for Ducky. Wancy's about to hit second stage themselves. They do finish a third generator in the meantime. If they don't finish a fourth here, I'm going to be concerned that they just don't have the means to bring this game back. You've got two survivors in basement, and I think the other two haven't been hooked yet, so they could still get something here, but it's about to become like a 2v1? Mm-hmm. Like, they need to finish a gen ASAP.
Yep, and this is an awkward situation where if both of them split and work two gens, like we're seeing right now, and in exchange both these survivors die for it, then that would mean one of these fresh hooks would have to get out to secure the win for Misery, and I just don't see that as a likely possibility with a killer like Xeno, and with these gates being pretty fixed spots, I do think that if this does become a 2v1, even if they pop two gens for it, Xeno's probably 4K'ing. I don't want to jump to conclusions here, but I think Xeno is in a very comfortable spot to at least 4K0 here. And we do see Abby getting chased. Abby, actually notable to mention, they did not finish their generator. It's about 85%, but yep. Abby did not finish it. And the injury onto Abby comes in. So now if Cheese is going for that unhook, Xeno can interrupt it. Okay, Cheese is committing to their gen, but now it's going to be a 2v1. And Cheese is going to have to rotate to finish Abby's gen, and even if that does happen, as long as this chase doesn't last a super long time, Xeno can just slug and go for Abby afterwards. Oh,
teleporting on top of Zarina, that's like game over.
It's over. Yep, that's exactly what I was talking about. These snowballs are just insane. Xeno's web of traps that he set up earlier came back, and it paid off. So, I mean, this is exactly what I was talking about. Xeno realized an opportunity to snowball there, confirmed the 2v1, and like it just goes to show that setting up a deadly web with a hag can definitely pay off big time in the end. So this was a great game to watch. I think Xeno played this very, very well.
They absolutely did. That was super brutal. And oh, I just realized they had boilovers. So if they had gotten down in that room up there, you couldn't hook them.
Oh, was that the boilover survivor?
They were the boilover. That's so brutal. To be fair, I think that they actually had another gen about 80% ready, so if they could have made that chase last longer and not get teleported on the other side of the map, they actually could have finished the 5 gens, and at that point, you know, they had something going, but they ran straight across the trap, and Xeno immediately teleported, got the clap, and that's that. That is game over.
Yep, exactly. And, like, again, though, even if they did finish that last generator, assuming Xeno doesn't get ran for ages, which, you know, we probably won't see that with this being Xeno and with all his traps being set up. Assuming Xeno doesn't get ran for ages, even if they do pop that final gen, Xeno can get the down around that time, and then they'll have information on exactly where the last survivor is. So I do think it most likely would have been a 4K0 either way, but Xeno was able to sit at a comfortable 4K1 here due to that trap placement, and again, that web of traps paying off here in the end. So I think this is actually a very fun set to watch. I didn't think Hag on Hawkins would be that intense, but I was proven wrong. This is a very fun matchup.
Yeah, that was really crazy. And again, there's a couple of chances, but yeah, that the 2 on Portal side going down, yeah, no, that was just GG. And I think you said it once already. Sloppy Butcher, I think, was the pivotal perk here, but the spicy thing that really seemed to turn the tide was the Dark Devotion. All right, everyone, welcome back to Champions of the Fog. We're loading in for trial number 3, set number 2. It is the Wraith mirror on Midwich, and me and Contra were talking about this in the back rooms of production. Xeno has opted not to take Swift Hunt, not to take Shadow Dance. They're taking Ghost, Soot, and Bone Clapper. Contra, explain.
Yep. So it looks like Xeno is going away from the standard meta with Wraith add-ons we see to help him in chase, like, you know, Swift Hunt to uncloak faster, Shadow Dance to vault windows and break pallets faster, and instead going for a stealthy Wraith. And if you're not familiar with what these add-ons do, the yellow add-on, the Bone Clapper, makes it so the uncloak sounds that we hear now are the same volume and they're heard map-wide. It basically takes away the survivor's ability to hear if the Wraith is uncloaking near them and they don't know which direction it's coming from, anything like that. And the Ghost Soot, I believe, keeps the red stain and terror radius gone for an additional 6 seconds after uncloaking. So Xeno, instead of using the Wraith's power to try to be aggressive in chase and down them quicker, he's instead looking to throw them off and maybe get free hits with this weird combination of add-ons and just try to throw off their comms a little bit.
That does seem to be the case, and yeah, I'm about to say, Ghostface is about to play like, or I'm saying, Wraith about to play like Ghostface all of a sudden, which is kind of crazy. Getting another tag on a Survivor, Sloppy Butcher going to be doing some work. This is, what do you think is going to be the result here? Like, we're talking like 4K1? Is Wraith going to go crazy?
I really don't think we're going to see like a down the middle result. I think we're either going to see a very good result for Xeno or a very bad one. And if the survivors are not prepared for this, if their comms get thrown off, if they're giving away a lot of free hits to this weird set of add-ons, I think Xeno can get a very good result here.
It's very fair. We do see him going up top, trying to push away from the... Is this the science room?
This is, yes, the science room, chemistry room, whatever you want to call it. Yep.
Okay, so they did get the reset in the meantime. Someone dropping down and looks like they're going to be tree routing this pallet. This is what kills me. There's no shadow. Like, Midwich has so many pallets you want to eat. There's no Shadow Dance. It's so bizarre. But they are going to come back to their slug and get their first hook in just a moment.
Yep.
No.
And
no.
Oh, the flashlight save. Oh my gosh, Abby gets saved by the flashlight save. But the flashlight, that is insane. And I do want to correct myself earlier. I actually mistook the brown add-on for a different one. It is an add-on that will automatically uncloak Xeno when he breaks a pallet. It's actually not the undetectable red stain one, which I thought was what he was running. I'm not sure I fully understand the logic behind this without Shadow Dance, but more power to Xeno, I guess. But very good mind game does get the down again onto Abby, and Xeno is suspicious of somebody hovering for a pallet save. Does check for a second, is going to pick, and...
Oh, they almost had
They went for a Batman. Ducky went for a Batman pallet save, but it didn't quite come through, so Xeno will be getting his first hook of the game.
Oh, wait, so this... Oh, is this Serpent?
It must be Serpent. I thought it was the Ghost Soot as well.
You're right,
yeah,
it is Serpent. Yeah, I thought it was
Serpent.
Ghost.
I wonder, does Xeno bring this by accident? Because I feel like with Bone Clapper, he would want the Ghost Soot, not this one. I'm not sure if this is intentional or not, but either way, it is very, very unorthodox. I don't think the survivors were expecting Bone Clapper at all.
Yeah, I haven't used Shadow Dance and Serpent in forever. Okay, getting a tag on Serena, though.
Yep, does get a tag on a Cheese there, which is pretty big. And Xeno makes it back to his hook in time to interrupt Ducky and maybe force a 1-for-1 here or get a free tag. Cheese cannot go for that on hook even though they're nearby because they are injured and if they get caught, it's very dangerous. Ducky is going to say, I'm just going to 1-for-1 here at this point. So a good amount of pressure for Xeno here. We do have 1 slug and 2 injuries. And instead of going for the tunnel out, Xeno is actually coming over here and interrupting this gen, is going to give it a kick. And... I actually like this play because although Xeno is not confirming a second stage onto anybody or getting a tunnel up, he is able to hook on top of an active generator. And that, I believe, I think that puts a lot of pressure on the survivors and maybe even more beneficial than immediately going for a tunnel out here.
I would tend to agree. And yeah, I think that is going to be the case. So I'm still just getting over the fact they have Serpent. So the survivors are going to be resetting under God Palette, potentially. Question
this is a very safe reset spots.
Oh, he's onto him.
Xeno knows. His sixth sense is active. This is what I'm talking about. This is why, part of the reason why Elysium is one of my favorite teams to watch, because Xeno will do this weird thing where he brings the most bizarre things on the killer side with his add-ons or his perks or whatnot, and it just works. It just works. So far, this is working. Oh, near miss on that pallet. Abby getting away from that is actually, I think, very, very good for Misery here. Not going down quite yet.
Absolutely. They already able to get the unhook and probably go back and work on that generator. Looks like they do have the boon up here in the meantime. Xeno's going to go ahead and take a moment to deal with that. Honestly, really good heads-up play from the survivors bringing boon illumination. That is the only, to my knowledge, that's the only boon that is legal. But on this map in particular, oh my goodness, great pallet stun and read from the survivor. Able to prevent this down just a little bit longer. But now with, this is where Serpent is actually, no, it's not enough. They get the window. Oh my word.
Yeah, I just feel like Serpent is not worth breaking without Purple Shadow Dance. I don't know.
Agreed.
It feels like it's kind of backfiring on Xeno a little bit here, making these chases kind of difficult without anything to help him out. The uncloak speed and the break speed and all of that is going to be base kit Wraith, nothing additional to help him out. And Abby is playing very well around that, but is going to be playing some 50s here. They do win that one, and they're going to continue playing this palette. Eventually going to lose a 50-50 and go down, though. But I mean, so far, still not the worst start for Xeno. They do get a global reset, so we don't have any injured survivors anymore, but we do see the third hook stage coming in, and now Abby is going to be put on their second hook. So potential tunnel out coming up in the near future. And I do want to touch on what you said a second ago about Illumination. It is, I think, very good on this map as well, because if there's a nasty 3-gen hidden that the survivors can't identify quickly, maybe 2 downstairs generators and maybe 1 upstairs very close, it can be very difficult for them to break. So Boon Illumination is just giving them that information they need to avoid that.
Absolutely. And oh, an unfortunate whiff, but they will take attack regardless. Ducky's going to be hit, and yeah, they're just going to go ahead and apply eruption to the generator and head on their way. Unhook coming in on Abby, and looks like they'll probably be heading upstairs to try and deal with that at the moment. Oh, Dragon's Grip coming in, but I think the server's already injured, so Xeno's just not going to care. However, they're going to... Oh, that was brutal.
That is so good for Xeno. He just casually found his Death Hook survivor unknowingly pathing into them. And Xeno gets attacked through this pallet. That's another Sloppy Butcher injury. And Xeno has time to commit to this for a quick moment and can maybe down Wancy before he goes back up to pick. Wancy kind of running back towards where the slug is too, so this is looking very good for Xeno. I do think this build is going to pay off. Wancy doesn't expect that lunge, and now he can just go back and kill Abby here. They get picked up, but I'm not sure if they make anything.
But I don't think they do. They have the pallet, and they were doing a good job looping earlier, but there's nothing here. Yeah, they're just going to go die in the corner, it looks like. Well, okay, maybe waste some time as much as possible, but like this, you go down here, right? You just die.
Yeah, this is a death pallet, like I like to call.
Agreed.
But Abby's making it work for a little bit here. They do win a couple 50s. Xeno does whiff, but they eventually die. This is a very unsafe pallet. You can't realistically expect to survive here. But Abby did a good job wasting Xeno's time there. They did buy some time for their team to finish that generator off in the distance and maybe start a reset. But that is an elimination at 2 generators left. So I think Xeno is on pace to 4K here. Look, a little celebration dance. But yeah, this is going
I can hear
really
the
well
music
for Xeno.
now. Oh, and they find a survivor
me too.
right off the bat too, and the injured survivor.
Wancy just spawned out of nowhere. What is happening? I'm not sure if they do. Xeno was there, but yeah, this will likely be a down onto Ducky right after. So Xeno has so much pressure right now. Not only did he successfully turn this into a 3v1, but immediately found 2 survivors. So he knows only one person could be doing gens right now.
Absolutely, and they are going to go for the break. Serpent still not really getting value. Oh, Xeno, stop it.
I agree about that.
Gonna get sick here.
Also, something to note, the Serpent used to give you the speed boost after you break a pallet and it uncloaks you. It used to always give you speed boost afterwards, but that kind of got removed from the game silently. It was like a shadow nerf, you could say. So that is also another difficult thing for Xeno, because after he breaks a pallet and gets uncloaked, he does not get the additional speed.
True. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's honestly, that might have been what killed. Well, Serpent was already not the best, but that probably killed Serpent.
Yeah,
are they going to trade here?
Well, they have to. Yeah, I don't think Wancy wanted to 1-for-1 there, but in this situation where Xeno catches him, I think he has to, or it's very big problems for Misery. And Ducky's playing this, but their endurance is going to run out eventually. I do think they probably should have just taken their distance there.
They did. They held W and they actually get to a different palette entirely. Mind games coming in from Xeno that are giving me motion sickness. I don't know how you were able to play like this.
You know, I agree with what you said now. I can hear the music playing as well with this movement. I can tell he's on his stream, vibing out to some very loud tunes and trying to get a 4K here. But Ducky, to my surprise, gets away from that. Ducky does not go down. And now Xeno's going to look for Wancy. I think he's convinced that Wancy may have dropped down here to the courtyard. And if he can't find his slug, I think Misery could come back from this and maybe pop this last gen. But Xeno is still in a good spot. Yeah, still in a good spot for Xeno. Unfortunate that both Ducky got away and he couldn't find Wancy. So Misery's able to maybe bring this back if they can make something work here.
Indeed. This isn't, I would not consider this a 3-gen. It's not a great gen situation for the Survivors, but it's not a 3-gen by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, this Ducky still has a great loop here to utilize, and they are going to be doing that. Looks like for the moment, though, they are hiding Serena. Eventually, you lose this. Yeah, but I say, going down. Now that's 2 slugs. Now you got to hide Zarina. Actually, is that their plan? Did they just hide Zarina? Did they get 4 gens and just hide?
At this point, with the very little amount of generator pressure they have, I think that is their only play, especially now that it's a 2v1, Ducky is dead. I do think that the best thing the Misery Survivors could hope for here is potentially a bleed out onto Wancy and Cheese escaping somehow, either through the hatch or playing for a gate very aggressively. Because, yeah, I mean, in this 2v1, it's, as you know, it's impossible to really do anything objective related. So if Wancy can bleed out and Cheese can get out here, then that would be very good.
Oh, but they actually find Zarina.
Cheese gets found.
Yeah,
Xeno is locked in. He just knows.
Absolutely. Now the question is, it's a little bit more difficult. Not forcing the bleed out inherently on Wancy, but trauma teching it.
That is interesting. I was going to say it's been a long time since I've seen a trauma tech, but I did see one pretty recently in somewhere else, and they can be very strong because if they do that with Wancy, then Wancy will pretty much be free to work whatever gen he wants, and they can practically force a 4K0 or Xeno risks that Cheese gets out through the hatch if he downs them. Hatch is not at a fixed position because this is Midwich. There's no hatch at Shack offering, so they can't trauma tech to as good of a degree, you could say, but it's still an option they could go for. And Xeno would be put in a position where he basically has to risk it. If he downs Wancy while he's doing the last gen, then Cheese might get hatch. But if he lets Wancy work the gen, then it could be just 4K0. So that's an option. I don't know if they're going to go for it, though.
Oh, I think they're downstairs, unless that's Serena. They find them last possible seconds.
Okay, that's very good for Xeno. I think we're certainly just going to see a 4K1 at this point, unless Cheese is able to work some magic and not get found, but very unlikely.
I was about to say, you could try and work your way back for an unhook, but I think you just... Yeah, you definitely don't now. Yeah, so we actually did see the trauma tech, I believe, 2 weeks ago or last week? It didn't actually end up becoming as fruitful as it had planned, but it did work out a little bit. But yeah, now... I still think you go for the unhook here. If you can try and make your way back, I think you go for the unhook. Because they're so close to bleeding out, you have to immediately pick them back up in order not to waste points.
Yep, absolutely. I do think if Cheese is on that side of the map and they're able to capitalize on Xeno being far away, unhooking would definitely be...
They did a gen?!
What?!
This Survivor is a mad lad!
Cheese?! I can't believe it. I just witnessed... Okay, you see, you might say, alright, that's crazy. That's so stupid. Why would Cheese do that? But Xeno isn't even bothering checking the generators because Xeno knows it's so insane to work a generator in a 2v1 like this, and it's so insane for a Survivor to be stealthing near the generators, and Cheese called Xeno's BS. They knew that it is so obscenely stupid to do that Xeno wouldn't check, and it worked. They got the last gen done.
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
not my bingo.
Yeah, no,
that was not.
You said it exactly.
Oh
it's like it's so countercultural, and they're doing the exit gate. You psycho! And they actually get it open. That was 2 seconds from getting out.
Oh my goodness. Now, just to think if Cheese had resilience or something, I don't know what their exact build is, but if they had resilience, I could have actually been an out, which is crazy to think about. That is insane. I've only seen that done a couple times, but I mean, well played by Cheese. They knew Xeno
Yeah.
was not going to be near the generators, so they got the 4K0. Xeno's still happy to get a 4K here. I'm sure this is still a good result for Elysium. I'm sure Xeno still feels good about this, but I don't know. If I were Misery, I would be very hyped about getting a 4K0 instead of a 4K1 here, because it was really looking like a 4K1. But Cheese was able to crank out an end.
All right, everyone, welcome back to Champions of the Fog. We're looking for trial number 4. Ducky is cracking out the Wraith, and this killer, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's going to be a bit of a difficult one, especially against a Survivor Squad like Elysium, because like you said, Elysium, I mean, Xeno's a great killer, but Elysium Survivor Squad is nothing to sneeze at. These guys are insane.
Yes. Oh, very good survivors.
Oh, speaking
very
of,
good stun. Yep, very good stun by Silhey. And yeah, Ducky does have a well, another whiff on the Silhey there. Ducky does have a big task ahead of them to beat Elysium here, because all these survivors are just so good in the individual 1v1. And I do want to mention real quick, so we do see the more traditional add-ons for Wraith. We do see Shadow Dance to break pallets and vault windows and all that a lot faster while on Cloak, and Swift Hunt. But I do want to get your opinion on this. With these changes to Midwich, those breakable walls by these God windows here are by default already gone, and we already have some other breakable walls in the map by default just not there anymore. So I almost wonder if would Windstorm be better than Shadow Dance in this situation? I'm not entirely sure.
I don't know. Yeah, it's so weird. So yeah, we see Windstorm with better speed. I would have taken Swift Hunt or something. Like I don't know. We'll have to see if it pays off for them. And they do get an early tag on Ace, and looks like kind of hanging out over here, waiting for Ruin to work out that generator. Also, Ruin, that's also really spicy to me, because I don't know, totem spawns are really obvious on this map. Am I crazy?
I do think they can be a mixed bag. I think these totem spawns on Midwich can be pretty obvious, like that one just sitting in the corner of this room, or they can be in a very obscure corner, like snuffed in a locker and hard to find. But it is pretty risky either way. Just as normal hex builds go, it is risky. But I will say, whether or not Windstorm is better than Shadow Dance here, it is undeniably very good to break those God pallets that survivors often run to on this map and quickly catch up. So Ducky does have a good build to help him with Chase, and a good lunge around that tile, and gets down into Xeno. And
did he try to CJ?
Come in? I don't know if he went for a CJ or just was there for a normal flashlight save, but I don't think they were expecting the pallet break before the pick.
It's kind of wild. First hook coming in for the killer. Gonna be able to chase these survivors away. Ruin doing a really good job now. I'm surprised survivors haven't tried to cleanse it just yet. Oh, great mind games. What? The LW!
Oh, wait. Hold on. I think Silhey spun around and they went out of line of sight. They ran behind that little box and then held W to not give Ducky information, which is actually a crazy play. But a lot of these pallets here in the hallway are pretty unsafe. This one is pretty much just a 50-50 if you can get the stun or not. And Silhey does eventually get tagged there. So we do have 3 injuries on the board. 1 hook so far for Ducky. And Ruin, as you said, is doing a good job at keeping these generators under control. But I do feel like Ducky will need a little bit more to meet the result they need. We do see the reset coming in on the Marcos, so that is good for at least some survivors here. And we still do have 2 survivors injured. And again, Sloppy Butcher, I think, is going to be a very important perk in this match with the hit and run playstyle.
I agree. And so this is the thing. This is where I would think that, you'd want the Swift Hunt just to get that faster uncloak and get, some quicker hits. But they are about to, if they want to go for Cloud, they can injure everybody. So they actually do have quite a bit of pressure for hit and run. Switching off the server, going back over here to the corner. Gonna be able to interrupt this generator once again. One of these survivors is going down. It looks like it's going to be Adam.
Yep.
They can go, let's see, did they go for a slug play here? No, they're gonna go straight for the pickup.
Oh, and I do want to correct myself really quick. I thought you misspoke by saying Swift Hunt over, or by saying Windstorm over Swift Hunt, but no, you're right. They're not bringing Swift Hunt. I'm used to every Wraith bringing Swift Hunt no matter what, but it's a base kit uncloak speed. I thought they were running Shadow Dance with Swift Hunt, but it's Shadow Dance and Windstorm, so the uncloaks are going to be slow. I thought you made a mistake talking about that, but that's actually what they brought. I was so surprised. I just thought it was a mistake in the casting, but they actually don't have Swift Hunt, which is very shocking.
With me in the seat, it's very safe to assume that it is a caster error, so I appreciate it.
That's not what I said.
No, you're good. It looks like they're going to go after Ace. Not going for any crazy quick tunnel outs. I'm also wondering if survivors are I would argue they're better on these tiles without Swift Hunt. Like, Swift Hunt makes it so much easier.
Yep, Swift Hunt is just such an important add-on with Wraith because, especially if you're catching up to a survivor and you uncloak right on top of them with Swift Hunt, they can't make anything. They can't hold forward unless they have a pallet right there. And Xeno does get hit. I do think that was a crazy play on the pallet that would work on same ping, but we do have to remember this is NA to EU, so
True.
the survivors are playing on a bit of ping. That was a very good vacuum vault by Xeno, and it has worked in the past, but I think because of the ping difference, he unfortunately does not make it. But that being said, second hook onto Xeno. So 70 seconds away from an elimination on that hook. And if the survivors make a mistake here or pull too fast, Xeno can be dying in the near future. But as we hear the token, we do have a spicy Hex perk. We do have Devour Hope. And I think Ducky would like to chase a healthy survivor to get value, but they're going to take whatever chase they can here and down Marcos. But this will reveal Devour Hope if he gets the down.
Absolutely. And I think it's also just a matter of the oh crap moment of like, oh, if we heal, it doesn't matter. We got to get rid of a totem. And so now the servers are going to be wasting time, and wow, both totems going down instantaneously. Wow. Okay.
Wow. Okay, so I think they both knew where the totems were because at least one of them was in an obvious spot, so they knew the location of the totems, and I think they wanted to get to work on those. So really, no Devour Hope value at all. I mean, they downed Marcos with it, but Marcos is already injured, so Devour Hope didn't really do much other than waste time cleansing, and I think we could be seeing a very big slug play here with a snowball because everybody's injured with Sloppy Butcher, and I think if Ducky catches somebody off guard, this would be very good. Head on by Pedro in that locker. I don't think Ducky even knew they were there.
I don't think they did either, yeah, and getting a really good stun, getting Ace a little bit of distance, and they're going to be chasing upstairs into the science building. So here's the thing. The Devour Hope in the Ruin did do it just enough to where they are still afforded this really crazy spot and getting the miss. Once again, Xeno doing a phenomenal job here at the pallet, running back around the side, and I think... Do they have any means necessary? They were the survivor that did this last time, right?
I think Xeno did fake with any means earlier, yes. I do believe it was Xeno. We do see it here again. He's doing such a fantastic job here, just wasting Ducky's time. Eventually does go down. We did see a couple very good vaults there from Xeno, doing a little bit of hesitation and then vaulting and forcing a whiff, but eventually does go down. Not the safest pallet on ping. And we do see the third generator pop, and generator number 4 here is coming up on about 70% progress. But now this is very scary for Elysium because we only have 3 survivors up, and all of them are injured with Sloppy Butcher. So I think Ducky has a very big opportunity here to make something happen.
I would agree. Oh, they're trying to look for a reset. Oh, that's so smart, but I don't know if the servers are actually resetting at the moment. Claudette's running back to their generator. They are going to go for reset. Okay.
Yeah, I think the survivors have to play for a reset here, and Ducky ignoring Pedro there may look silly to the naked eye, but if Ducky finds a reset, this could be game over. I think Ducky going for the reset here was absolutely the right play. A little bit risky, but the risk does pay off.
It absolutely does. They're both trapped back here. Even if they finish that 4th generator, this could still be a 4K1. Oh my goodness, Ducky actually might be clenching at this last possible moment, even without getting full Devour Hope value.
Yeah, finding this reset was massive for Ducky. Very good game sense there, and was able to realize that if they were able to successfully do this, they could get the win for the set for Misery. And we do see Marcos go down, and
this is scratch marks.
Yep, and they know where Pedro is. Pedro's right here in the locker with head on. It looks like baiting it, giving the locker. Oh, other locker. Hey, other locker, Ducky. Yeah, there we go. Giving the locker a little bit of BM, but eventually Pedro will die.
Yep. Wow. They're actually going to get 4K1, so they're actually going to win set 2.
Yep. It's hard to say like what the biggest mistake from Elysium in this game was, right? I do think they played their chases very well. They did a good job by getting rid of those Hex totems. I understand wanting to reset in a secluded area and not be found, but I do think if they just reset a little bit sooner and were able to at least get one person healthy, they could have potentially avoided this scenario, but... again, it's hard to say in the moment. If they were able to get the full reset, that would have been great. But Ducky caught them out, and that resulted in the snowball that we just witnessed. So very well played by Ducky. It looks like Misery will be taking the set.
I think, I'll be honest, I think Ruin might have been the MVP perk here. Like, obviously, Sloppy, you're going to take it on both sides. Devour, waste a couple of seconds on a totem, but I think at the end of the day, Ruin did so much damage at the beginning of that game. They harassed 2 gens so frequently. So, and like you said, I don't think Elysium made any particularly, grave mistake. but just incremental advantage. And again, the Wraith played superbly. A little bit of possible revenge there. No, actually, no, that's not revenge. They did this in the first trial. Okay, never mind.
Donkey is just so toxic, man. Get this guy out of COTF.
I'm about to say, like, toxic survivor main removed from but it looks like they will be going back to the campfire very shortly, and we'll be moving on to trial number 5. It's gonna be a mirror of Nurse in set number 3. So I'm kind of curious, who do you think's got the better Nurse? All right, everyone, welcome back to Champions of the Fog. We're loading in for trial number 5. It is going to be set number 3, the Nurse Mirror, and oddly enough, on Mount Ormond Resort, and I believe you have some thoughts here.
Yes. So, okay, Ormond, I feel like if you compare it to a map Nurse has seen pretty often, like Cold Tower, for example, even though the main building and shack and all that are positioned differently, the overall shape and structure isn't very different, but Ormond is just so big. Ormond is such a massive map. I think Nurse's main weakness that top level players like this will exploit is Nurse's lack of mobility and dying in corners and just making it very hard for her to defend everything. And I think Ormond just amplifies that by 1,000. And I think if the survivors here play into the strengths of their exhaustions and die into corners and play the macro how they should be, it can be very difficult for the Nurse to keep up. But we do see Wancy getting a pretty good first tag on the Zeno here. And potentially an early first down, but not quite. We do see Hex Ruin.
Indeed, we see Hex Ruin and getting another tag onto Silhe in the meantime. We did see briefly that that gen did turn white. So, interesting kind of info build the Killer brought. We'll see if it pays off for them. Gonna be following it up with a tag, possibly. No, they get stunned! Rare Nurse stun coming in, and yeah, I think they're going... Are they gonna commit to this? No, there's yeah, but there's no way they do. Like you said, it just... The W key is so strong on this map.
Yeah, absolutely. If Wancy commits even for one more set of blinks with survivors doubling here, they're almost certain to pop this main building gen. And main building is very, very important in a map like this, because with such a big map like Ormond, it's very important to keep the center gen, like main building, up for the end game, because if survivors pop it early, you're most likely not going to have any kind of favorable gen setup towards the end of the game. And this generator over here in the back of the map is also very high progress, so very good gen pressure for Elysium so far, and does not get the tag onto Pedro here, and Pedro doesn't get this vault, and that is going to be single blink hit. So I think if Wancy follows this up and gets a fast down near this main building gen, this could be the little comeback that he needs, but he's actually going to drop and check back main, it looks like.
It does make sense, but yeah, but I don't think they trusted their perks there, and that is going to be the other gen. Again, getting a reset on Zeno as well as Silhe, leaving Pedro the only one to be injured at the moment. Killer needs a hook, and getting a tag on Nia as well. Just, yeah, survivors are exactly what they need to do. They're dying in places that are just miserable for the Killer to go in. They did go over here. It is going to be lucky break. They're not as lucky as they will be going down. The question is, do they finish the first generator mid? No, Ruin actually did some work on it.
Oh, yeah. Big Ruin value. The main building generator looked like it was about to have like about 4 pistons cranking, but now it's like not even halfway. So very good Hex Ruin value, and Wancy is actually going to be able to return to this gen and interrupt it another time. So they did lose the gen already, and main has a good amount of progress. So, I mean, still good start for Elysium, but at least Wancy has one thing going for him, and that's that the main building gen still has not popped, and you still have Ruin to work with. But yeah, we are definitely seeing, as you said, the W key coming in very strong on a map like Ormond. And for those who aren't aware, Nurse's mobility, if you factor in the single blinks and going across the map, is almost identical to a 115 M1 killer. People might think Nurse has more mobility than other killers, but not even technically true. Yeah, people have done testing. Her mobility is very standard. So imagine a Trapper on this map. That's pretty much Nurse's mobility. And that is brutal if the survivors exploit it.
But say back when she had range add-ons, yeah, sure, but she hasn't had range add-ons for like what, a year now, so definitely not the case. Oh, trying to stop it, but it's gonna be a balanced landing going in for the unhook. Last possible second play from the survivor, and I guarantee you that is the Deliverance.
Yep, it most likely is Deliverance, and it's very interesting to see a balanced landing with Deliverance on this map, but again, the survivors are playing to the strengths of the map as well, and they realize that main building is so central, they can get the balanced landing into the save. And Marcos goes down again. Am I seeing things wrong, or did it look like, was that a dead heart for Marcos, or am I crazy?
I don't think it was. It might have been. It would have been a really juicy one potentially. And yeah, I don't think it was. And they do get the center gen going down, but that means that technically, I think that was within the 12 seconds. I don't think Xeno actually got Deliverance off of that.
Oh, that is a good point. Yeah, actually, Marcos went down very fast. I think Wency waited out the 10 seconds of endurance and downed maybe at just the right little window to deny Deliverance, because that was a fast down now that you mention it. Well, we don't know for sure if Deliverance is in play yet. And if Wency was able to deny that, then that would be very good for this endgame here. But again, as we see, the main building gen has been popped, so these generators are so far. I think Wency is going to have a hard time here.
Was that a crow, or was that like part of the ashes coming off of the nurse's hand? Because I thought that might have been a crow in the distance, but... Okay, so here's the thing.
I don't believe it was a crow.
Do you ever not take Deliverance against Nurse?
No, I don't see a world where you don't take Deliverance. Especially with all the exhaustions allowed, like Overcome, Sprint Burst Balance. There's no way they don't bring Deliverance. There's just no way.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like they will be able to go and get the last second unhook on Nia. Like rechasing Adam off of the hook at a Shack building. Ruin is going to be regressing that gen pretty heavily, and they do take a tag. 3 survivors are injured, but I imagine we're going to be seeing some resets coming in soon. There's one on Nia.
Yep, and pretty much nearly all of these hits are going to be coming in as a special attack with the Blink, so we're going to see the, I believe, the Fragile Wheeze, the Mangled add-on come into play to make the resets take a little bit longer. Wancy's actually baiting the Survivor to come back and trying to catch him crossing, but they are going to be very smart. I think it was Silhei didn't come back and give Wancy a 3 down or anything like that. And this is pretty much the best semblance of a 3-gen that Wancy has, but most of these gens are just so far. This is just Ormond being Ormond things. But Pedro's greeting the gen while injured. Doesn't go down there, but that's very risky for Elysium to be doing.
It is absolutely very risky. Doubling back into the nurse, going wide, but hugging the rock instead. That's going to be able to get away. We see the gen in the yellow on the other side. They're going to be banging both these gens out. Are they about to finish the last 2 gens and leave the nurse with like only 2 stages? Oh, they missed the blink.
Oh, that is brutal for Wancy. Pedro's able to get even more distance there by just holding W, and that's the last gen done.
Yep.
And correct me if I'm wrong, it was Pedro who went in for that first unhook, right? So it's most likely Deliverance and Unbreakable on Pedro, if I'm remembering correctly.
I thought it was Claudette that did it, but it might have been. Hard to say. But yeah, now that there is their Death Hook Survivor, but they can't waste too much time on this. They need to get other stages elsewhere. And to be fair, you even called it, this is a really tough map for a nurse, and these survivors played really, really well. But this nurse needs to secure some stages as soon as possible.
Yep. And another thing I would like to point out is Marcos, yep, we do see the pickup on a Pedro come in. Marcos was playing aggressive on that door because Elysium was okay with if the killer commits to Marcos, because Marcos is only worth 1 save. So he gets purposely found on that door, and Elysium is trying to keep their fresh hooks survivors a little bit hidden. A little cheeky blind coming in from Xeno there to try to make these follow-up blinks on the injured survivor more difficult. And Xeno is going to take the tag, but if the set of blinks lands, might not make it.
That was a great
predicted the bounce landing. Oh, Xeno is going to be going down.
But they need to go find the other survivor. But she ran around the other way. I think they all get out. And if this is Delhi, you just take double tag and it's too much. Okay, they're gonna hook him in the back. So.
And you were correct. It was actually Xeno who went for the unhook earlier with balance. So I'm almost positive that this is Deliverance. And I mean, as you said, like, Xeno can just unhook himself, and if Wancy hits Xeno off hook, that's extra speed Xeno can use to make the exit gate. And we do have 2 healthy survivors that can heal tech or hit tank for Xeno if they need to. So this is looking very good for Elysium. Very low amount of stages, but
iframes.
And they had iframes. They hit during iframes, so they don't even get rid of the endurance.
Oh man, and yeah, if they can get Claudette to any kind of verticality, they need to make. She's going to make it the hill. That's what they're going for. They're going for the hill. She's going to get balanced landing.
Ooh, is that what they're playing for? They're playing for a stun, but does waste a little bit of time. And where did Xeno go? Oh, Xeno went through main. He's going to bounce through main, it looks like now. Oh, this is so intense. He does get the bounce landing off, and is he going to path to the door over by Mini Shack? Or by
looks to be the case.
Shack? Yep, Mini Shack. Wancy does do a very good job predicting. I think he knows he has to do a crazy 1 blink and hit, but not close enough.
That door was so perfectly. If that door wasn't there, they would have got that blink. But without it, that's all right. Everyone, welcome back to Champions of the Fog. We're loading back in for trial number 6. Xeno's gonna be cracking out the nurse on Ormond, and let's face it, it's not gonna be an easy fight for these survivors at all. As Okay, so here's the thing. What do the survivors have to do to make this work out in their favor? Because I can't think of a scenario where it's going to go well for you.
Me neither. Okay, I think there's two things they could do. One is play like absolute rats here and wait out corrupt, but we see scratch marks, which they're not doing that. I think the only other possible play is to be aggressive on the gens as soon as the first chase starts, and just pray and hope that the first person who gets chased is able to waste a lot of time, and then try to crank out a gen and then play for pallet saves or something. I think this incredibly tough win con for survivors, that might be their only strategy, but we're potentially seeing it down this early into the game already, which makes it near impossible. But good job up from Nancy dodging that blink from Xeno.
Yeah, great double back from Fang. A little bit unexpected. I think they also might have short blink the first blink, not entirely sure. We do see something yellow going on at main. I believe that should be two survivors on the generator, and Teabag's coming in from Wancy, like saying, come on, come chase me, buddy. And Xeno's like, you know what? I got time. Yeah, sure thing. And short blinking.
No, I feel Xeno's pain so much here. Whenever I play Nurse, the rocks just consumed Xeno's blink there, just ate it up and did not allow Xeno to get the hit there. Ooh. And Wancy's just winning all of these, using the environment very well, making Xeno whiff. And they're most likely going to pop main any second now, because we do know from Discordance that they are doubling it.
Absolutely, and it looks like distance with Lithe, but not enough as they're going to double blink. Oh my goodness, still making the whiff, and they do finish the first generator despite 2% slowdown from Thanatophobia. And yeah, Fang able to get into this tile, but I'm about to say, I don't know how much longer the luck can last. Yeah, and they will end up going down. The question is, do they finish 2 gens for this chase?
I think they most likely will, because were they tripling main? It might have been. No,
surely
no way,
not.
Right? I was assuming we'd see a survivor on a high progress generator, but we haven't seen anything. So maybe it could just be one. Xeno does spot out somebody here. I think that was a bright murder mill shirt. Not able to stealth very well, but they do find, I believe that is Ducky playing Talita here, and this is most likely Deliverance if they're this close to the hook, but that is a far tag. I don't even know if they make it in time. It is Overcome, so yeah, they get it because of Overcome, but it is a 1-for-1 here.
Yeah, they will get the 1-for-1, leaving them on the ground, and now Fang kind of in a world of hurt. They're going to be getting some distance with that base kit BT speed, but not for long. They need to make it over to a... You gotta hope they have Decisive. If they don't have Decisive, this is lights out.
Exactly, and also, yep, no Decisive. Maybe Wancy's saving it for second hook, but doubtful. Also, Xeno waited again, like we saw a couple last match, I believe with what Wancy did on the Nurse, and Xeno waited the Endurance out, and I'm 99% sure they did not get Deli off of that.
I think you are correct. Going immediately back, double dipping for the unhook here.
What?
What?
I love what Misery is doing here. They're just going for the unexpected plays, like cheese on that generator. And Xeno's blink gets eaten by the pallet and the wall, so Wancy's gonna live a little bit longer. Never mind. Sorry, Wancy. GG.
So, something interesting. I think that Fang actually did have Decisive, and I think they missed it.
They missed this DS, no shot.
Which is insanely unfortunate. Because, like, yeah, if you had Decisive there, you had Lithe, you could have actually made something. You got 2 gens in the meantime, but yeah, with the survivor sent back to the campfire now, if they hook anyone, that's game over. Actually,
pretty much.
Now that I'm thinking about it, it actually might already. Yeah, no, if they hook someone else, yeah, it's game over.
We already have, I believe, 3 hooks on the board, so yeah, 1 more hook should be enough points for Elysium to confidently take this set. And Xeno actually predicted that very well. They knew they would go to basement to waste some more time, and Xeno knows that Ducky already burned their Unbreakable at the hook to go back and get Deliverance. So they're actually going to leave Ducky slugged on the basement stairs, knowing they cannot pick themselves up. Xeno doing a thorough check here, making sure nobody is stealthing for this pick, and checking a little bit more. I think he really just wants to be sure that there's nobody here who can quickly get Ducky up off the ground and then check his gens afterwards. I think he's fine leaving Ducky on the ground as well, because he knows it is Deliverance, and I believe this is probably the best decision Xeno can make to pressure the survivors and make it so maybe there's only one person working gens at a time. So I do think Xeno is playing this very calculated.
I would agree, and looking around to see if there's anybody on these generators in the corner. They did find something with about 20% and, you know, gonna line up a kick on it. I imagine, I don't know how the survivors get out of this. Like, obviously, maybe you hope that Ducky can crawl away and bleed out and start trying to deny points that way, but, like, realistically, that's just not where it is, and obviously, Xeno doesn't care about that corner gen. They can let both of these gens go and be fine. I'm actually surprised they don't just go and secure the win con. Are they just trying to, like, 4K2, 4K1? Is it for bragging rights?
Absolutely. I think Xeno can just pick up and win here, but he wants to play for the best result possible, and he knows that he has a lot of room to make a lot of mistakes to do this and still get the win condition. So I actually respect Xeno for doing this. He just wants to go for best result possible. And another thing, we can see the generators highlighted yellow, and we know it's not possible to have 2 Discordance generators here with 3 survivors left. So it is Eruption. So, I mean, that just makes this even easier. And that does kind of mitigate one of the biggest weaknesses for Nurse on a big map like Ormond, because Xeno could actually commit far away from his generator setup and still get regression on these gens through Eruption. So Xeno does have something going for him there with his perks helping him out. And Misery went from playing super aggressively at the very start to very, very, like, slow right now. Very slow. We're not seeing anybody.
That's a good point. They do finish that corner gen after all, but last time Xeno went and checked the gen over by, I don't know, Tractor? I don't know what you'd call it. They didn't find anybody, and eventually Xeno has to go for this hook here, right?
Okay, Xeno, I understand. You want the best result. But if I were him, I'd be very nervous in this. I would just want to pick for this win condition. And misses that blink. And again, this is going to be a delivered survivor. I mean, he can stall and slug them to get some pressure, but like hooking them won't really... Okay, I say it won't do anything. It'll secure the win for Elysium, which is all that really matters. But in the grand scheme of things, the only thing it'll do for him in this match is getting Eruption off, which I think is what he's playing for here.
Right, and there's the scream from both of the Eruptions. They're gonna go and stop these gens from firing. Very peculiar. We do see that both of them were working on separate generators. They really want to 4K1 this. They do not want to let these survivors escape.
Yeah, Xeno, even though it's like, it's what, like 4 a.m. in Romania right now, he's up late playing this tournament and could just, you know, call it now and just secure this win, but he just wants this best result possible, which again, I respect that a lot. And I think he's baiting the survivor away, or chasing the survivor away from the gen, and maybe baiting a rotation from the person working the far gen on that side, but doesn't quite find anybody, and I think is most likely going to commit to cheese here, because Ducky's going to bleed out on the ground very soon. Xeno knows if they're committing to that gen far away, they do not have enough time to pick up Ducky, so they have to choose one or the other, and I think Xeno is fine chasing this, because that bleed out's happening, like, right now, I think.
I would tend to agree, and yeah, it looks like Ducky will be bleeding out.
Oh!
Last second pickup and trade from Zarina. I was like, where do you go from here?
Okay, now they're dead.
Yep. And I'm looking at the points. Yeah, they can kill all 3 of these survivors by bleeding them out, and it would still result in a win. Because the survivors ultimately aren't gaining the advantage over points, and the killer will be gaining advantage over points. Oh my goodness, almost able to finish this generator. That's kind of crazy.
Yep, Xeno is going to put Eruption down on this. I mean, not really much of a point in doing so, but like also he doesn't really lose much. There's only 1 survivor left standing, and unless we see some crazy play from Misery here or some big mistake by Xeno, this is just 4K1. There's no way. This set of blinks will likely land, and that'll confirm the result. Does do a moon blink, and then doesn't quite hit it though.
Going for style points. You know, I can appreciate it, but now, yeah, but I think you're...
Oh! Did survivors have been doing so well with like just narrowly making Xeno miss?
They really have. Good double back, and they will eventually go down. Eruption proccing on the gen in the distance. We see scratch marks on the... Yeah, about to say it's on the chalet. Heading back over to that generator to stop it, but Survivor's going to see them well distance away, and yeah, this is a 4K1. Kate even giving some bags, like, say, come on, you know you want to chase me.
Yep, and I believe... Xeno and really just Elysium and Misery in general, they're friends. So I believe all of this BM is just fun and games. So I don't think there's anything to worry about on that front. But it is entertaining to watch. We do see the bags in the distance, and Abby taking probably the last chase of tonight's matchup. And I feel like they're just dying here. There's no way they live this. Yeah, that's a single blink. So that's absolutely confirmed. That'll be a 4K. At 1 generator left for Elysium. Xeno put up a good performance here on Nurse, and I mean, despite this being such a difficult map for Nurse, and Xeno having such a bad start in the beginning with not getting it down, he actually just brought it back, was able to get a 4K1. I think the pivotal moment was finding that Delivered Survivor, stealthing for that unhook, and then forcing that Unbreakable early, and then denying, like, you gotta force them to doing it by denying Deliverance the first time. So I do think that interaction and finding the stealthing to Lito that we see dead on the ground right now, I think that was probably the thing that turned it back around for Xeno and allowed him to get a 4K here.
I think you're right. Also, well, I'm gonna ask in the post game because I'm really curious. Was it a miss? I feel like it was a miss decisive, and that also could have been kind of brutal. Because if they had got that decisive, I feel like that chase would have actually gone way longer, and I don't know, just very unfortunate.
Yeah, I know. I definitely agree. I think if it was a missed DS, then that was probably the difference between them popping all the gens and getting 4K1 here, if I had to guess. But yeah, if that's the case, definitely very unfortunate. But either way, both these teams played very well tonight. I think this was a very, very fun matchup to watch. All these sets were super fun, and if anybody is playing Nurse and COTF in the future on Ormond, my thoughts are with you. I'm sorry, that's tough.
No, absolutely, yeah. That is a rough map to play on. It's similar to I remember back in season 9 when we introduced Groaning Storehouse. That was the one. Groaning Storehouse 1, and it was Nurse on that. And the nurses were struggling. I was like, wait, hold on. Oh, right, there's 2 pocket gens. Yeah, this map is awful.